The following presentation is brought to you by Art of Readiness.
Capturing the moments that make life great.
Ladies all around the world, listen up. We're looking for you. The time has come to be unstoppable together. The danger of executive women is worrying we're not enough, obsessed with perfection and failing to perform. You're in the right place. It's now time to be unstoppable together with Connie Fife. She was the director of the United States Chamber of Commerce and CEO of Girl Scouts USA. Sit down, squat down, or lie down. It's time for Up or Out, all business with Connie Fife. Your unstoppable diva and chair of the Fife Group, helping women in leadership achieve excellence and be unstoppable together.
This is Connie, your unstoppable diva, and you're listening to Up or Out with Connie. So we have a goal of reaching 1 million listeners, 1 million downloads by the end of this year. And we're getting there, but we cannot get there without your help. So I want to ask y'all to subscribe to Up or Out with Connie on iTunes, and be sure to share it with your friends, with your colleagues, and also with your family. And also to that, and I've been sharing over the last few weeks that we have 2 exciting programs going on, but really they're all wrapped into one. It's all about the Up or Out Network. So we have a Facebook group, Up or Out Network. So please go on over there and join the group. And once we hit a certain number, we're going to shut it off and make it all private. So you want to get in there now. And again, there's no cost. Just jump on in there. And then we also have our Up or Out Network website, which we are going to be doing a huge launch in September. But the same thing, everybody that jumps in there now, you're going to get a free copy of my Be Unstoppable Together Freedom Journal. And then also a lot of other prizes and giveaways we're going to be giving out to those that are going to help us share and promote this new website. And again, it's Up or Out Network. It's for those entrepreneurial leaders, the rule breakers, the movers and shakers, the ones that want to do it differently, because they don't want to be stuck in a 9-to-5 all day, and they don't want to be collecting a paycheck just every other week. They want to work with who they want to work with, where they want to work, and they want to make the money that they want to make. So you want to jump in there, Up or Out Network, because we're all here to help each other grow and find your success so you can achieve excellence, and we can all be unstoppable together. Well, let's get back to the show. And the first question that I always start out asking is, do you have a desire to move up in the C-suite, to be heard in the boardroom? Or are you ready to become an entrepreneur? Well, if you're looking for advice, it's going to help you get there or make a decision either way. You've come to the right place. Now, I want to start off with an article that I was reading, and it's all about the women getting to the C-suite. And y'all know I work a lot with women, but I'm not here. I'm not bashing anybody, but I want to talk about women getting through the C-suite, because I've experienced the exact thing that I read in this article, which was the woman gets so far and she wants that CEO seat, and she wants it and she wants it and she wants it. Well, guess what? So many women are finding out that it just doesn't happen because other people around them are feeling intimidated. And I'm going to say other people include men and women, because I've had it from both, from men and women. When I was at one of the organizations, I was in the seat to be the COO, not even the CEO, but the COO. And the board chair came to me and said, "This is your position. We're lining you up for it." And I waited and I waited. And I waited, and nothing was happening. I go into my office on a Monday morning. There's an email blast to everyone in the organization saying, "Congratulations, Todd, for being named the COO of the organization." I flew into the CEO's office and said, "What the heck? What happened? What's going on?" And he told me, in these exact words, and I will never forget them, that you are not part of the good old boys network, and you're not going to know how to connect with someone else. in that sphere, in that space. So I left that organization and made my way over to CEO of Girl Scouts. So you can do it. You can get there. It may take a little bit of extra work. And when you get there, and what is happening, these women, mostly Gen X women, are saying, I don't want this. I want out. And that's what the Upper Out Network is all about. I designed that around that to help you, both men and women, make that move up the corporate ladder, because it can happen. But when that frustration hits, when that wall hits, and trust me, 90% of the time, it does. Come on out, join the Upper Out Network, and we're going to help you get there. So that was my little story for today, but I do have a quote. The quote is, actions are the seed of fate. Deeds grow into destiny. That's from Harry S. Truman. Actions are the seed of fate, and your seeds that you're sowing along the way will grow into your destiny. So hang in there right now. We got a really quick sponsor break, and we'll be right back with today's guest. Hi, this is Connie Five, your unstoppable diva, host of Upper Out with Connie. I am thrilled to be a headliner host on the C-Suite Network, where you can grow your brand, grow your tribe, and be unstoppable together. We are the hottest podcast for C-level executives and entrepreneurial leaders. Each week, we interview content leaders on leadership, personal brand, business, and influence. Continue hearing me right here on the C-Suite Network, also on iHeartRadio, SiriusXM, iTunes, and over 900 networks around the globe. Follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, because you don't want to miss any of the good stuff. Until next time, this is Connie Five, your unstoppable diva. Be bold, be connected, and be unstoppable together. And we're back, and you're listening to Upper Out with Connie, and it is time to turn up the volume, because with us today is a really dear, sweet man I met recently at the C-Suite conference in where were we?
Austin.
Dallas. We're in Dallas. I'm so many places, I forget where I'm at half the time. We're in Dallas, Texas. Mike Robertson, who is from Austin, Texas. So that's why I was getting a little hiccup there. But he's a speaker, an author, a musician, which I didn't know, a storyteller, and he's an all-around creative guy. And he even did a stint as a magician and a songwriter, a pastor, a graphic designer. So as you can tell, everything that he does is all around creativity in your business and helping you build that business to success. So what we're going to talk about today, Mike, first I want to welcome you to the show. And you've also been married for 30 years. And congratulations to that, because a lot of people can't say that.
Oh, thanks. I realize when you read my bio, it sounds like I can't hold a job, but yeah, it's been an interesting life path.
Now, you also have a daughter who's locally here in Los Angeles.
Right.
She's a writer and performer. Oh, pretty cool. So now you have 4 books, right, and it's all around creativity, and also about the birth of the motion picture business.
Yeah, I have a historical novel called This Is Where I Came In. That's about the very beginnings of the movie business, before anybody knew that it could be a business. It was a period of history I found really fascinating, and I couldn't find that anybody had ever written a novel about that era. And so I thought, I'm going to do that. So I'm very proud of that. It's one thing to write nonfiction.
Yes.
It's a whole different challenge, but I'm really proud of that book.
I bet. I mean, is it still out? Could people still get a copy of it?
Yeah, all of my books are on Amazon.
They're all on Amazon. Okay, Amazon.com. Look for Mike Robertson if you're interested in the history of the birth of the motion picture business. Really, really interesting. Now, again, a lot of things I didn't know about you. So I know that you're the creative go-to. And so let's talk about slides and creating slides, because I know you go to programs and people will have slides, and I know for me, I'm sitting there like taking a nap, because they're like reading from the slide, one line after one line. And then I think it was really Steve Jobs who came out and was like, no, this is how you do it. And you do an exciting video, or, put a pretty flower up there. So what is your take on that in terms of creating that wow, so you capture the attention of your audience?
Well, my take on it, when I started speaking professionally, I didn't even use slides because I felt the same way about them that most people do. They're boring, they're horrible, they all look alike, they're distracting, and they put audiences to sleep. So I didn't even use them. But then I thought, I was a graphic designer for 20 years. Surely I could make a slide that was at least pleasant to look at. And then I thought, I've done magic. Maybe I could make slides that actually did something that was cool to look at and not just were repeating what I was saying on stage. Right. And so I began to do that. And very quickly, I noticed a bizarre thing happening, which was I would put up an amazing slide and the audience would burst into applause because the slide was so cool. I'd never seen that before. And
you're standing there. Yep, that's me. That's me.
Yeah. But I realized somebody needs to help people make their slides better. And so I decided to try to put together a program to share what I had learned just through experimentation. And when I did, it was a life-changing moment. But people went nuts.
So you're talking about slides for a keynote or a presentation. Now, is that different from slides that you would do in a training workshop?
Not necessarily. I mean, you have to work within the constraints you're given. Right. Sometimes people will see say, hey, I'm in the corporate world. We have to have our brand on a slide, or we have to have this disclaimer or something like that. But there's always ways to be more creative, even within the constraints that you're given. I liken it to one of my favorite directors is David Lynch. David Lynch movies are weird. But you know what? When he was most successful was when he had a network TV show called Twin Peaks, because he had all this talent and all these ideas, but he had to work within constraints. And I believe those slides that we're all forced to do or some template or something that's forced on us. How can you be creative inside the box? We're always told to get outside the box.
Right.
If you're a creative person and you're inside a box, it's really just 6 blank canvases around you inside that box for you to do something really cool on.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen some really cool ones lately. You probably had your hands on them. And somebody had said, they took a blank canvas, and actually I've heard you say this, and turn it into something really artistic elements around it. It's because you want your audience to laugh or cry, and it's hitting all of those emotional points, so you capture them right off.
Yeah, slides are not supposed to be cue cards. They're not supposed to be notes for speakers to refer to, find where they are in their speech. That's
I have to admit, when I first started, I did do that.
Yeah, well, I think everybody does when they first start. But we start taking baby steps, too, and we eventually are able to run hurdles. And, I'm not able to run hurdles, but some people are. But we have to realize the power of those tools. We all have access to PowerPoint or Keynote. Right. But it's like saying, this hammer is not really good for slicing up potatoes. No, but it's great for hammering in nails. It's what is that tool perfect for? Well, it's perfect for doing things that accompany your speech, not that repeat your words, but that enhance your words with an appropriate image or an appropriate effect that underscores what you're saying. It's really powerful if you're talking about change and you walk up to your screen and you touch the screen and something actually changes on it. When you touch it and the audience goes, ooh, I love that sound. The audience goes, ooh, and it happens a lot.
How did he do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool. And so I went from using them as cue cards to not using them at all. And then I did go back to, it's very similar to what you're talking about. I probably need to look at it again, because I don't think I've made my audience laugh or cry or do that. Ooh. So I need to do that a little bit more, but I know that they're not to be there as cue cards. They're really just to be there as an effect, as a visual effect, or maybe a point that you're trying to make or come across with. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah. One of the slides that I show when I'm telling people how to do this, I call my get hired slide. We're told as speakers all the time, we need a good elevator pitch. I've never had a good elevator pitch. I've never been able to refine what I do to a sentence or two. But what I have instead, when people say, well, what exactly do you do? I say, can I just show you one slide? And everybody will say, okay, yeah, I can look at one slide. And so I show them this slide that goes through this amazing change and really tells a story.
Right.
Picture alone. And as I talk with it, it just gives it twice the power. And 3 times last year, I showed a person who was on the fence about hiring me.
Right.
I showed one person this slide. He sat down. I'm not going to bring anybody in. I showed him a slide, and when the slide was done, he said, "Okay, what do you charge?"
Wow.
And it got me a full feed job with that association, a huge association in Texas.
So that's your one sheet.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, that's your one sheet. I think I need to hire you to create that, because and so I mean that goes back to, how do you stand out when you want to be hired for speaking amongst thousands and thousands of other speakers applying for the same job? How do you stand out and make yourself different? I mean, you're giving a perfect tool right there to do that.
Right. Yeah, I'm a terrible marketer, but I'm a decent brander. And I mean, I was mowing the yard earlier. This is what I wear around the house most of the time, is a 3-piece suit and a tie. But that's become part of my brand too. When I talk about creativity, I didn't want to wear an IBM executive suit. I wanted to wear something that looked like, oh, this guy is eccentric or creative or artistic or something. And so it's all part of my branding.
Okay.
My name is Mike. My website is isthismicon.com.
Yeah.
I give out little USB drives shaped like microphones. It's all making you stick in your clients or your potential client's brain. So they'll say, oh, yeah, we need to hire him.
That's really cool, really cool. Well, hang in there. We need to take another commercial break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to learn more about Mike and Is Mike On, and putting you in our hot seat. So stay tuned.
Hi, this is Greg Davis. Connie asked me to pop in for a moment to tell you about a great opportunity. Have you ever listened to a podcast and thought, I should be doing that, but I don't know how, I don't know where to start? Well, Up or Out with Connie Fife has partnered with Park Lane Media Group to offer you PMR podcast production. What is PMR? Production, marketing, response. The 3 key elements you need to successfully build your podcast success. For more information, visit parklanemediagroup.com or email podcast@parklanemediagroup.com, and be sure to let them know that Connie sent you. You have a story to tell. We'll help you share it. Come to parklanemediagroup.com today and start building your podcast success.
And we're back, and you're listening to Up or Out with WCONNIE. And I'm chatting with Mike Robertson about how to stop blaming your PowerPoint and turn it into gold. Mike, how can our listeners, I know you said your website really quick right before the break, so tell our listeners again how they can find you and learn more about you.
My website is this Mike On? Mike is spelled M-I-K-E like my name. isthismicon.com. I tell people my website is the only one that is advertised by every speaker in the world, because all of us at some point say, is this mic on? I'm just trying to get you to .com at the end of it. So I appreciate your help with that, Connie.
Absolutely. We'll definitely get that out to all of our listeners. Now, so Mike, so we've learned a little bit about you and the business. Now we want to really learn about you, about the guy, and what really makes you tick. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So what's your favorite success quote? What keeps you going?
I don't read a lot of success or business books. The books that I read are mostly by very creative people, but I like everything Malcolm Gladwell writes, because he takes a story and helps you find meaning in that story that is not obvious on the surface. And that's what I like to do when I speak. I always build my speeches around story. And sometimes it's a story people have heard, but sometimes it's a personal story. But then you find little nuggets of truth in there that are not immediately visible to the audience.
Right. They may have heard that story, but they didn't hear it from you. So that, just makes a difference. And storytelling is just huge, especially when you're on a platform, when you get in front of Mike.
Right.
So did you know what you wanted to do right from the very start?
Oh, no. The list of things I've done that you read at the beginning shows that it changes with the wind pretty much. But I have always, since I was 8 or 9 years old, I've always loved standing up in front of an audience. Okay. And so it started out as doing magic tricks for my Cub Scout troop. And then when I was a teenager, I started playing the guitar and singing. And I acted. I got on stage. Anytime I could be in front of an audience in any capacity, it just fed something in me that nothing else seemed to satisfy.
And it sounds like you passed that on to your daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're speaking or doing any of your programs, do you bring in your magic? Do you bring in your music?
I do. My magic is usually all on the screen. But yeah, sometimes I will bust out a little music by surprise right in the middle of a presentation. And to me, it's like a little secret weapon in your utility belt. If it turns out you can sing and the audience does that in advance, it's like another little notch that you go up in their estimation.
Yeah.
With the magic, I do magic on the screen, and the effect is actually the same way you would structure a magic trick. You show them exactly what you want them to see. You misdirect them. Timing is important. And so sometimes, if I can give you an example, I'll have a screen that has a sentence on it.
Okay.
It'll be up there for 15, 20 seconds. And then I walk up to the screen and I just slap the screen, and half of the letters fall off the screen. And what's left spells a completely different word. And they all go, ooh, because they've never seen anybody do that before. So in that sense, it involves misdirection, timing, and a lot of behind the scenes work.
Right. To do that. Awesome. So all leaders know we have to start somewhere, and there's always failures along the way, and failures that become one of our most successful adventures. So what would you say that would be for you?
Well, it took me a long time to find my niche as a speaker, because I do not come out of, I don't come out of the business world. Okay. So I'm not super qualified to talk about marketing or expansion or C-level executive type topic. But I thought, what can I talk about? I can talk about creativity, because I've been a creative person my entire life.
Okay.
But when I was trying to start to market that, I learned that creativity is not really the sexiest marketing term, that people just kind of go, oh, that's nice. I like that.
And it's not. I get that.
But I was talking to a friend that Laurie Guest. Yeah. And she said, what is your keynote about? And I said, well, it's about how you can be ready for those momentous changes in life by learning how to think creatively. And she said, what's it? The Art of Readiness. She said, there's your brand. There's your buzzword right there. Readiness is a hot topic. Creativity is not.
Isn't that? Yeah.
So it's been a whole process of just learning by doing, and you put things out there, and if they don't achieve the success you think they should, tweak it a little bit and ask yourself, well, what are people wanting? What do people want to buy right now that I can offer them?
Okay. And then what would you call them and I think I'm hearing some of it there, your aha moment when you said, I got this. And I think the Art of Readiness sounds like that was one of those moments.
That is one of those moments. The other one was the first time I stood up in front of a group and said, let me show you some things you can do with slides. And I did it and got a huge standing ovation from an audience of speakers. And during the Q&A, a guy stood up and said, yeah, that's great. I'm never going to be able to do that. Can I just hire you to do that?
Right. Well, I'm thinking the same thing. I'm going to hire you to do my PowerPoint.
Well, and now that's half of my business, is doing slides for other speakers and printers and trainers. And I did not ever see that coming. That was never a goal. But like some of the best things in life, they come as a surprise, and you have to make a split decision. Yeah. Should I grab that or let it go by and think about it? In my experience, the best stories always start with saying yes.
You got it. So, and I know that you're heading to the Los Angeles NSA GLAC chapter in a couple of weeks, where I will see you there.
Oh, great.
Yes. Somebody said to me last week, and I had it confused with you coming on the show. They said, are you going to come and hang out with Mike Robertson next week? And they said next week. And I was like, yeah, I am.
Good. I'll show you some magic.
Yeah. And they're like, no, the NSA. So yes, I will be there.
Good.
No problem. Yes. And at our dinner on Friday night. So if you knew then what you know now, what words of wisdom do you have for our young entrepreneur, our young C-suite executive that are pursuing their path to success?
What is it that you can do that very few other people can do? Too many people go into business or speaking or trying to be an entrepreneur by following in somebody else's footsteps.
Yes.
And you end up with a counterfeit copy of a life that's not really even your own.
Yeah.
And so I really think you have to ask yourself, what is it that I can do that's better than most people can do it? And it may seem insignificant because those talents that come naturally to us, if they come naturally, we tend to devalue them and say, well, that doesn't even take me any work to do that.
Yeah.
So I often tell the story of a woman named Debbie who was a housewife and no college. And she was humiliated and made to feel stupid by her husband's boss one night. And she thought, I've got to do something with my life. But what can I do? What skill do I have? And she couldn't figure out anything except she baked a really good chocolate chip cookie. Okay. Well, Debbie's last name was Fields, Mrs. Fields, the billion-dollar food conglomerate now.
Yeah.
Most of us would say baking cookies is not a marketable talent.
Right.
Ask Debbie Fields how she feels about that.
Yeah.
You got to identify what you do better than anyone else, and that is your ticket.
Exactly. Whatever that is. But yeah, making cookies. I have an aunt who bakes cakes. Now, she's not Mrs. Fields, but she does pretty well with her. And baking that's a tough commodity to market. It really is. So they've done really well with it. Well, Mike, do you have any last minute parting words?
Parting words. I would always encourage people to never think that there's a point in life when it's okay to coast. I'm 63 now. I just quit my job and went full-time into speaking full-time last year.
Yes,
at a time when a lot of people think, well, it's time to start thinking about retirement and sitting in the rocking chair on the porch. I don't want to do that. One of my favorite stories is about a woman who was 92 years old and ran the New York City Marathon and finished it and set a world record for the oldest person to ever run that race.
Yeah.
She went home and died the next day. And people say, isn't that tragic?
My God.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, that she did that. I don't know that story, but that is amazing.
Yeah, take me out, coach. I'm done. That's what I want to do. I want to peak and then die. I don't want to peak and then decline for 30 years.
Right.
Always keep challenging. Always keep growing. Always keep stretching yourself.
Yeah, just keep on going. Don't stop. Yeah, there was a quote I seen. It said something like, when I stop, I'll die. Something, something to that effect. But yeah, that's exactly it. If you stop, you stop living. What is the purpose of it? So great advice. So Mike, I want to thank you for being here today. And again, to our listeners, is this mic on? MIKE. And find out more about Mike Robertson and how he can help you take a blank canvas and create art out of it. So Mike Robertson, speaker, coach. Do you call yourself a trainer, creating or creator? So many things.
So is what I like to call myself.
Yeah, the creative so-and-so. That so-and-so, that list gets really, really long. But thank you for being here again today, Mike.
My pleasure.
I'll see you next week at the end of the chapter meeting. So our time, because our time here goes by so quickly. It's really 20 minutes with the commercial breaks and all. And there's so much more that we could be talking about. But for everyone out there, I want to thank you for being part of our community. Remember, register for the Upper Out Network. I want to see you inside the network because we are a community of love. We're going to help each other support and grow and achieve excellence together. And be sure to subscribe with us on iTunes, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn because you don't want to miss any of the good stuff. It's been great being here with you today. And always ask yourself if you could do something different to get a different result. What would that be? This is Connie Fife, your unstoppable diva, and you're listening to Up or Out with Connie. Until next time, be bold, be connected, and be unstoppable together.